This is Living Well Women, holistic living for sisters over 40. Happiness is holistic. It's multifaceted. It's physical. It's internal. It's my diet and my emotional state. It's all tied in together. Michelle Obama. This is a show for sisters, about sisters, by me and my sisters, Dr. Dravon James and Keisha Dixon. I am Lynnis Woods-Mullins, and we are Women Living Well.
And we're live. Share your page, ladies.
I'm going to share it on my page.
Hello, everybody.
Hi, everyone. We're just going to take a few moments to share. And if you're joining us this evening, please share. We have a great topic tonight.
All right. Yes. I'm really excited about this topic. We had to kind of hash it out a little bit to see what it was we wanted to talk about or how we wanted to present it. And we have like a update already on what we were going to talk about. So that's cool. Okay. I'm almost sharing here.
I am still looking. It happens to me all the time.
It's okay. I'm on my line. Hi, everybody, Facebook family. This is Lynnis, and we're here, Living Well Women, holistic living for sisters over 40. And this is a show about wellness and all sectors of wellness for women over 40, with an emphasis on issues we think are of particular interest for women of color. And we're just kind of waiting right now for everyone to get on. How you doing over there, Dr. Dravon?
I got it.
You got it? Fantastic. Fantastic. Welcome. My name is Lynnis Woods-Mullins, and I'm a holistic living and wellness expert and publisher of Wellness Woman 40 and Beyond e-magazine and host of The Wellness Journey. And we have with us today my two buddies, my sisters, my compadres, collaborators, and all that other wonderful good stuff. Dr. Dravon, who is of Everyday Peace, and also Keisha Dixon, who is the tapping queen. And we are here to share with you issues around wellness for women over 40, with an emphasis on things that we think might be of particular interest to women of color. And so today we've got a topic that's kind of interesting, and I'm going to go ahead and just get right to it. I'm going to let Keisha, because she's done the most research and she has the latest update on our topic, because we had this topic and then things kind of changed. So Keisha, what was it we wanted to talk today about?
We're going to talk about ultimately about mentorship. And the way this came up was, has everyone seen a clip at least of Dr. Phil's show with the young lady, the young 16-year-old with her mom and her brother on the show? And the 16-year-old lady who has melanated skin has decided that, or believes that she is a white person, not just a white person, but a racist white person. And that kind of blew up all over the media. And a few days ago, her older sister supposedly is saying all of that is a scam. Either way, we wanted to talk about self-loathing, self-hate, and how we, as women, elderly women, not elderly women, but
wait a minute. Stop.
elders in the community.
Girl, I went to breakfast the other day with one of my closest friends, and her 65th birthday is coming up, and I'm like, oh my God, can we still be friends? That's close. Of course, I'm right behind her, be 62 in a couple of months, but no, we're not elderly. We are
Elders in the community. I got you.
Bring seasoning to the table.
I love that.
Mentor each other and our young people to self-love and self-acceptance. We're talking today about healing forward.
Yes, I think it's so important. I have to tell you that this young woman, whether it's true or not, I would be really surprised if there was anyone that had her disorder or mental illness or whatever it is to that extent to the point where they really think that they're white when actually they're black. But who knows? I'm not a psychologist. Maybe there are people who have that kind of a disorder. But I also know that there are, women of color out there who wish that they were white or who try to make themselves look as white as possible with the surgeries. And we won't even get into the blonde thing because I know some people just like the way they look with their hair blonde, which is fine. But if you're doing it because you're trying to be something that you're not, if you're trying to portray the fact that you're not a woman of color, passing, if you will, which is like way back in the day when they did that, then maybe there's something else going on. And I can't help but wonder how much of that, with what's going on these days with our young women, our millennials, and even younger, how much of this could this be as a result of not having enough healthy role modeling in our communities? It's not that the mothers aren't doing anything wrong or doing things correctly, or the fathers or anything like that. But these days, with all the other images that our kids, our younger women are being bombarded with, is there something extra that we could be doing as women of color and women who are seasoned to help pull them through and help them to recognize, how truly beautiful and wonderful they are?
Yeah, I firmly agree that there is mentorship, not only for women of color, but just mentorship, period, has proven through the test of times to be one of the most effective ways to impact a community. And so it stands to reason that women of color of a certain age, the elders in the community, we've seen enough, and been through enough and progressed through so many different things that we have so much more to give, and we should either formally or informally create those opportunities to mentor, because there's so much more. And I agree with you, Lynnis. It doesn't mean you don't have great parents. It truly takes a village to do everything. So availing ourselves to the opportunity to give back in some fashion, especially to young women. Young women.
Yeah, and what I love about mentorship or coaching is that you have to do the work first. You can't show anyone or train anyone in the way to go unless you've already been down that road and you've done the inner work on yourself. And sometimes it means working with others, whether mentoring someone or being mentored yourself. It means working with others, because a lot of times the beliefs that we hold that are hateful feel really true. They feel true. And you would defend to the core that it is true. If you believe that your hair won't grow, or your nose is too broad, or any belief that has you focusing in negatively on any part of yourself or your body, you would defend it to the core. No, that's absolutely true. What are you talking about? Of course, my nose is too big. And hyper focus in on that. Unless you've done the work yourself of self-love and self-acceptance and healed the ability to love yourself, you can't mentor others.
Yes. I was reading an article about mentorship of young Black women who were in different phases of their career. And they talked about, of course, the mentors. These were women who were doing what they want to do. And they were generally older, at least by 10 years. And one of the things they mentioned, they all said, was that while it was great to have the mentorship career-wise and, moving in corporate America, what to do, what not to do, one of the things that really was wonderful is that each of these mentors really became more like big sisters, and they didn't just coach them on what was going on career-wise, but most importantly, they coached them on life. Life experience. And I have 4 daughters, and I realize that there's some things, no matter how much you coach or parent your adult daughters. In my case, I coach my children now because they're all close to 30 or in their 30s. And, so I cannot be hands-on anymore. But sometimes no matter how much you might coach them, they're still going to do what they're going to do because that's part of their life experience. That's how they get their experience. But there are seeds that can be planted that maybe once they get in the throes of whatever hot mess they've gotten into as a result of not listening to you, they'll say, oh, yeah, you know what? I did hear that. And that's really what happens with mentorship. It's the seeds that are planted that help a young person. And I've heard something else, too. And let me know what you think. That one of the issues around mentorship when it comes to the baby boomers is that we are so poo-poo about, those millennials and everything else, and they don't want to talk to us and they're stubborn. But I've heard that actually on the other side of that, that millennials actually want to be mentored and want to hear from us. And that they're saying the problem is that the baby boomers are always bad mouthing them all the time. Whereas in reality, they really do need the mentorship. Have you heard anything like that?
I haven't heard that, but I do see a hungering for relationship. Let's say that for relationship. And I'll tell you what I do see. I do see a lot of millennials sometimes do take the stance of overly criticizing the younger generation.
Mm-hmm.
So not the millennials, but the older group.
Right.
And I think that's unfortunate because we can never forget that we didn't start off this way. Right? We developed into this, right? And there were a lot of people who were looking at us and saying, what the heck is going to happen with this young lady? Right? But they never stopped being patient and giving us their love and their concern. And yes, their unsolicited opinions, right? Mm-hmm. We cannot be afraid to do that because that's part of our role is to say, hey, you may not want to hear this.
Right.
Lovingly say it anyway. And then respectfully, understand that they do not have to take that advice at this time. Like you said, when they find out they're in this situation, they can look back and say, oh my goodness. And that's okay. That's okay. That our role is to be that. Know the boundaries, know where we have boundaries, but be willing to say that I am concerned enough. I've seen this before. I've lived through this before. Let me tell you a thing or two about a thing or two. Right?
Mm-hmm. That's true.
Yeah, and with that loving empathy, you really hit a nail on the head, Dravon, and that is there's no judgment there.
Yeah.
Or that judgment's not felt. Because what will happen if a person feels judged or criticized or ridiculed? They'll immediately go into shame or guilt. Guilt will shut you down every time. And then you have a person who is not coachable, moldable, teachable, or even wants to be mentored by you. So it is so important that you're able to build that relationship. And remember that mentoring really is a two-way street. There's so many things we can learn from our young people.
Yes.
So many things.
Yes, I would say that mentorship is really a great form of wellness for people in midlife. And I'll tell you why. First of all, it does connect you with those who are younger. And I know a little bit about that just running a virtual business. I have a lot of young people that I work with, and they teach me something new every day because I have internships. I have a young woman that I'm working with right now who does the editing for this show. She lives in New York, and I have learned so much from her just in the 3 months that she's been my intern, not just from a technological perspective, but the kinds of things that she's going through, going to New York University, the kinds of things that she's concerned about, the things that she thinks about. And I guess, even though she's my intern, I am mentoring her. But the other piece is that it's a form of validation too. You're learning from them, but you're also being revalidated. Wow, I do have some value. And one of the things that happens a lot with midlife women, you begin to wonder, gosh, am I even valuable? Am I adding value? All this stuff I've learned, does anybody care? When you're mentoring a young person, you begin to realize, wow, I have something to contribute, and I do have some self-worth. And I think that's a good form of emotional wellness, is to be able to say that about ourselves. We want to be able to.
Yeah, because you do hear that with women of a certain age, they begin to feel invisible. Right. So, so you don't have that place anymore. And you make a very good point. A good way to maintain our position, right, is to be in a position to give. Because, and those of us who've chosen the role of motherhood, we're accustomed to giving, right? So the tradition lives on, and we're able to continue to give and be able to give to an adult woman is such a blessing. Such a blessing. Yes. Someone starting out on the role of being a wife, or starting out on the road of parenting. I can remember when I first had my children, there were so many women older than myself, probably my age now, and who would give me so much advice about mothering. And it was very comforting because I raised my children at distance. I didn't have, my mom wasn't here, my in-laws weren't here, so I was essentially alone raising two children with my husband. And it was comforting to have those more wise women who, said, okay, at this stage, you can expect this, and things that you necessarily didn't get from books.
When I started having children, there was a woman who would watch my children for me, and we all called her Mother Nellie. And she was one of those ageless women with so much wisdom. And whenever I needed respite, I needed a break, I could always call on Mother Nellie because she was there. She was there for you, offering advice and telling you it's going to be all right, baby. It's going to be all right. And that I needed to hear.
Oh, isn't that the most comforting thing?
Yes.
Yes.
And to hear someone who's already lived your part of life to tell you that it's going to be okay.
Yes.
Yes.
It makes all the difference in the world.
And we could do that for somebody, for a younger woman, it's going to be okay. I know this too shall pass, as my grandmother used to say.
Exactly. I love that saying. I live by it. When I was raising my girls, 'cause I have 4 girls, and my mother was deceased by the time I started having the majority of my children, and I knew I needed someone to help me raise my children. Even though I was married, I needed someone, and I had these 6 women who really was my village. And I'm so grateful to them to this day, because my children still have those relationships with them. They're still mentoring them. And they each brought something a little different to the table to kind of circle back to what I'm talking about, which helped them identify in a healthy way in terms of being a woman of color. Our white sisters can't mentor. I mean, they can mentor us in some ways, but when it comes to being able to identify what it's like to be a woman of color in this country, growing up while a woman of color, they can't relate to that because they haven't had that experience. But having someone that can mentor you and talk to you about that piece alone, I think is not only healthy for them, but it's also healthy for us too, because we need to kind of sometimes go through that process of what it's like, what it feels like. Remember that, yes, I did get past that. If I can get past that, I can get past what I'm going through right now. Because don't you guys forget sometimes that, oh yeah, I have been through this before, I'll get through it. Or sometimes it just gets so crazy that you forget that, okay, as you said, Dravon, this too shall pass. It's not going to last forever.
Absolutely.
And you're right. You need to be reminded, and the best way to remind yourself that you too have come through this is to tell somebody else your story.
That's right.
It comforts them, and then just to say to them, you know what? Let me tell you when, and they can find strength in that, and you get strengthened, just like you said. You say, wait a minute, I'm that chick.
That's right. I was there.
I'm that chick.
I love that.
Hero's journey, and we get to participate in other people's hero's journey along the way as well.
Yeah.
Yes, it's symbiotic. Mentorship, a good mentorship relationship is symbiotic. You learn from them, they learn from you. You validate them, they help to validate you. And the growth is wonderful. I would like to suggest to anybody who's listening to this program, if you're not already mentoring somebody, reach out and mentor to someone. You feel better about yourself. You're contributing to your community. And that young person, the things that you're sharing with them, they will take with them for a lifetime. It's a form of legacy building, actually, being able to mentor. Yes. So it's a great midlife project. For those of you who are retired out there or retiring and wondering what you're going to do, let me just say mentorship. The article I was reading they were talking about that they still don't have enough mentors for women of color. It's a difficult thing to find the mentors. And I think that many times one young lady was saying that she didn't think she could find a woman of color to mentor her. And it was someone that was right in front of her. And this person didn't necessarily have the same kind of job that she wanted to have, but she had life experience. And it's not necessarily about the title of the person or the stature of the person. Sometimes it's the experience that they bring with them, the wisdom that they bring with them. Like the woman that helped you raise your children, or your mother. Mother, I think everybody has a mother so-and-so. Yes. Those women don't necessarily have PhDs, but their wisdom.
Yeah. And one thing I would say too, I think that one of the things that scares people who would consider mentoring is the investment of time, because they think to themselves, their life is, especially if you're still working full time and you're still doing part of your thing with your own children and your own family. You say, well, I don't have the time, how can I commit to this? But I would just tell you from a personal experience that it means so much if you took if it's nothing scheduled, if you took 5 minutes at the end of an event to say something kind and encouraging to a young mom.
Great idea, Dravon.
Those words go on, and they really. Someone wrote me a letter that I recently found on the top of my dresser drawer from 2000 and I don't know 7, and it was really thanking me for some words that I had said to her. I don't remember what I said to her, but it was, she talked about being young and me encouraging her, and I thought to myself, it only takes a minute to mentor somebody. It really, your words last much longer than what you think on somebody's life, and they're much more impactful. So don't be shy about mentoring because you don't think you can commit to a regular schedule. Spending a couple minutes at the end of an event, just saying some encouraging words, noticing something about somebody, asking how they are, that's all part of relationship building. That's really what mentoring is, relationship building.
That's exactly it.
Yeah.
And it's the epitome of wellness. It's the epitome of wellness. This show is supposed to be all about the kinds of things we need to be thinking about in order to be well in our mind, our body, and our spirit. And part of being well is being emotionally well. And there is emotional gratification. They say that if you're feeling kind of down and depressed, and you're trying to figure out how to get yourself out of it. And I'm not talking about clinical depression where you need to be seeing a psychotherapist. I'm not talking about that, but just kind of a blah, They say one of the first things you can do is go volunteer, go help someone, mentor someone. And it pulls you out of you and helps you to extend out. And next thing you know, you're not feeling that some kind of way. I can tell you earlier today, ladies, I was feeling like that. I was feeling like that, like I don't have, the imposter syndrome, which I suffer from time to time. And, as I was beginning to, do the research for the show and read some things and everything else, I decided right then and there, and I do mentor some people. I placed a real quick phone call to a young woman that I mentor from time to time, just to check to see how she was doing. And I felt so much better because I was no longer thinking about, oh my God, what's wrong with me?
It's so true. I too had like one of those blah kind of days. And the minute I said something encouraging to somebody else, voila. It's like I was speaking to myself, and it uplifts you. And you're like, oh my goodness. The gift of being able to give joy or happiness to somebody, even if for a split second, really does some self-healing. It really does. So mentorship is, I believe you,
absolutely,
wellness.
Yes, I love this topic, and I hope everybody else has loved it too. We have asked you all to let us know the kinds of things that you would like to talk about on the show. We want to hear from you. Write it in the comments, or you can email us at livingwellwoman@gmail.com, livingwellwoman@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you. And this is what, our third or fourth show. It looks like Keisha's frozen. I hope we're still broadcasting. Keisha. She's frozen on that side.
Yeah, I see that. I hope we're still broadcasting.
I think we are. I don't know. We'll see. Are we still broadcasting? Hey, guys, can you see us? I see the viewers there. And somebody send us a little comment or note to see if you can still hear us and see us. But anyway, we would like to hear from you. We would love to hear some suggestions for topics. And we just lost her. I think we just lost her. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, hopefully she'll be. I hope we're still on. I still see viewers there. It's still live.
Okay, see the wonders of the internet once again.
But I do want to say one big shout out to a viewer who did contact me and ask that we talk about a topic, and I thought it was a very interesting topic. So it's time to mention that now.
Okay,
she'd like to talk about us doing a show on at what point in our womanhood are we expected, or should we know what our life is all about?
Woo!
The age-old question is what am I meant to do? What's this journey about? And she wanted us to talk about that on the show. And I thought, well, that'd be for an exciting conversation.
Okay, so next week we're going to be talking about life's purpose. Yeah, when does it start? And how do you know? And if you're ready to start it and you have an idea of what it is, what do you do next? Because I could talk about that all day long, because I can tell you the date and the time when I figured out my life purpose. But then even though I figured it out, I still didn't know what the Sam Hill would do. All I knew was what I wanted to do. Okay.
That's most of the battle. That's most of the battle, right? Is knowing what it is that you want to do. Or really, I think a lot of us know, but it's having the courage to act on it.
That's right. That's right. Taking that leap of faith, operating without a net, moving forward in the dark with no flashlight, just your wits about you. You know, so we can definitely talk about that next week, knowing our purpose and what to do with it when we find out what the purpose is. I don't know what happened to our wonderful, wonderful person, Keisha Dixon.
On YouTube, and let us encourage you to visit us on Living Well Woman at YouTube. Please go over there and like our page. We really are desire to build a tribe of women that we can really grow and develop together, and just a little place for us to come and mentor ourselves, if you will. Be good to ourselves and balance, and a great place for women over the age of 40 and of color to come together and express our views and just feel comfortable with each other.
Yes, absolutely. Again, go to Living Well Women on YouTube and subscribe, because that way, when the shows are uploaded, you'll know in case you've missed a show, you can still see it on YouTube, and be looking for us on Anchor FM. We're going to be there on audio, which is going to blast us out to iTunes and Spotify and SoundCloud and a bunch of other stations. So we are growing, and we're coming towards the end. I was trying to wait for Keisha to come back on, but we've had our very first technical difficulty. I don't know where she is, but I know she's somewhere in cyberspace. Keisha, wherever you are. But thank you so much to all of you. And thank you, Dr. Dravon, for joining us. And thank you to Keisha Dixon. And my name's Lynnis Woods Mullins. It's been wonderful that we're glad you decided to join us on Living Well Woman. And we will see you again next week at what time, Dravon?
7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time and
4 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Thanks so much, and have a blessed rest of the week. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for tuning in to Living Well Women. Join us next time when we will discuss other topics of holistic living. Nothing is off limits when it comes to sisters supporting sisters. Please subscribe to our YouTube page by clicking the link below so you can stay updated on all the details when it comes to being a holistic living well sister.